to help him. Chapter 12. Now at that time Michael shall stand up, the great head who is standing over the sons of your people, and there shall be a time of distress, such as never was since there was a nation, until that time. And at that time your people shall be delivered, every one who is found written in the book. And many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall wake up, some to everlasting life, and some to reproaches, everlasting abhorrence. And those who have insight shall shine like the brightness of the expanse, and like those who lead many to righteousness, like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, hide the words and seal the book until the time of the end. Many shall diligently search, and knowledge shall increase. Then I, Daniel, looked and saw two others standing, one on this bank of the river, and the other on that bank. And one said to the man dressed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, How long until the end of these wonders? And I heard the man dressed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, and he held up his right hand and his left hand to the heavens, and swore by him who lives forever, that it would be for an appointed times, and half a time. And when they have ended scattering the power of the set-apart people, then all these shall be completed. And I heard but did not understand. So I said, My master, what is the latter end of these matters? And he said, Go, Daniel, for the words are hidden and sealed till the time of the end. Many shall be cleansed and made white and refined, but the wrong shall do wrong, and none of the wrong shall understand, but those who have insight shall understand. From the time that which is continual is taken away, and the abomination that lays waste is set up, is 1,290 days. Blessed is he who is waiting earnestly, and comes to the 1,335 days. But you, go your way till the end, and rest, and arise to your lot at the end of the days. The Book of Hosea. Hosea. The word of Yahuwah that came to Hosea son of Beeri in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, Hezekiah, sovereigns of Yehudah, and in the days of Jeroboam, son of Joash, sovereign of Israel. The beginning of the word of Yahuwah with Hosea. And Yahuwah said to Hosea, Go, take yourself a woman of whoring, and children of whoring, for the land has utterly whored away from Yahuwah. So he went and took Gomer, daughter of Diblaim, and she conceived and bore him a son. And Yahuwah said to him, Call his name Yisrael, for in a little while I shall revenge the bloodshed of Yisrael on the house of Jehu, and put an end to the reign of the house of Israel. And it shall be in that day that I shall break the bow of Israel in the valley of Yisrael. And she conceived again and bore a daughter. And he said to him, Call her name Lo Ruhamah, for no longer do I have compassion on the house of Israel, so as to forgive them at all. But I shall have compassion on the house of Yehudah, and save them by Yahuwah their Elohim, and not save them by bow or by sword or battle, by horses or horsemen. And she weaned Lo Ruhamah, and conceived and bore a son. Then he said, Call his name Lo Ami, for you are not my people, and I am not for you. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which is not measured nor counted. And it shall be in the place where it was said to them, You are not my people. They shall be called, You are the sons of the living El. And the children of Yehudah and the children of Israel shall be gathered together, and appoint for themselves one head, and shall come up out of the earth, for great is the day of Yisrael. Chapter 2. Say to your brothers, O my people, and to your sisters, O compassion one. Strive with your mother, strive, for she is not my wife, nor am I her husband. Let her put away her whorings from her face, and her adulteries from between her breasts, lest I strip her naked, and shall set her up as on the day she was born, and shall make her like a wilderness, and shall set her like a dry land, and shall put her to death with thirst. And I shall not have compassion on her children, for they are the children of whorings. For their mother has whored. She who conceived them has acted shamelessly. For she said, I go after my lovers, who give me my bread, and my water, my wool, and my linen, my oil and my drink. Therefore, see, I am hedging up your way with thorns, and I shall wall her in, so that she does not find her paths. And she shall pursue her lovers, but not overtake them, and shall seek them, but not find them. Then she shall say, Let me go and return to my first husband, for then it was better for me than now. And she did not acknowledge that I gave her grain, and new wine and oil, and increased her silver and gold which they prepared for Baal. Therefore I shall turn back, and shall take my grain in its time, and my new wine in its appointed time. I shall take away my wool and my linen, covering her nakedness. And now I shall uncover her shame before the eyes of her lovers, and no one shall deliver her from my hand. And I shall cause all her rejoicing, her festivals, her new moons, and her Sabbaths, even all her appointed times, to cease, and lay waste her vines and her fig trees, of which she has said, These are my harlot fees that my lovers have given me. And I shall make them a forest, and the beasts of the field shall eat them. And I shall punish her for the days of the Baals, to which she burned incense and adorned herself with her rings and jewelry, and went after her lovers, and forgot me, declares Yahuwah. Therefore, see, I am alluring her, and shall lead her into the wilderness, and shall speak to her heart, and give to her vineyards from there, and the valley of Achor as a door of expectation. And she shall respond as in the days of her youth, as in the days when she came up from the land of Mitzrayim. And it shall be in that day, declares Yahuwah, that you shall call me my husband, and no longer call me my Baal. And I shall remove the names of the Baals from her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. And in that day I shall make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, and with the birds of the heavens, and with the creeping creatures of the ground, when bow and sword and battle I break from the earth. I shall make them lie down in safety, and I shall take you as a bride unto me forever, and take you as a bride unto me in righteousness, and in right ruling, and loving commitment and compassion. And I shall take you as a bride unto me in trustworthiness, and you shall know Yahuwah. And it shall be in that day that I answer, declares Yahuwah, that I answer the heavens, and they answer the earth, and the earth answer the grain, and the new wine, and the oil, and they answer Yisrael. And I shall sow her for myself in the earth, and I shall have compassion on her who had not obtained compassion. And I shall say to those who are not my people, You are my people, while they say, My Elohim. Chapter 3. Then Yahuwah said to me, Go again, love a woman loved by a friend and an adulteress, according to the love of Yahuwah for the children of Israel, though they are turning to other mighty ones, and love their raisin cakes. So I bought her for myself for 15 pieces of silver, and 1½ omers of barley. And I said to her, You are to remain with me many days. You are not to whore, nor become any man's. And so I shall also be towards you. For many days the children of Israel are to remain without sovereign, and without prince, and without slaughtering, and without pillar, and without shoulder garment or house idols. Afterward the children of Israel shall return, and seek Yahuwah their Elohim, and David their sovereign, and fear Yahuwah and his goodness in the latter days. Chapter 4. Hear the word of Yahuwah, you children of Israel, for Yahuwah has a case against the inhabitants of the land. For there is no truth, or loving commitment, or knowledge of Elohim in the land. Swearing and lying and murdering and stealing and committing adultery have increased, and bloodshed follows bloodshed. Therefore the land mourns, and everyone living there languishes. With the beasts of the field and the birds of the heavens and the fish of the sea are taken away. However, let no one strive or reprove another, for your people are like those striving with a priest. And you shall stumble in the day, and the prophet shall also stumble with you in the night. And I shall make your mother perish. My people have perished for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I reject you from being priest for me. Since you have forgotten the Torah of your Elohim, I also forget your children. As they were increased, so they sinned against me. My esteem they have changed into shame. They eat the sin of my people, and lift up their desire to their crookedness. And it shall be like people, like priests, and I shall punish them for their ways, and reward them for their deeds. And they shall eat, but not be satisfied. They shall whore, but not increase, for they have stopped obeying Yahuwah. Whoring and wine and new wine enslave the heart. My people ask from their wood, and their staff declares to them, for a spirit of whorings has led them astray, and they went whoring from under their Elohim. They slaughter on the mountaintops and burn incense on the hills, under oak and poplars and terebinth, because its shade is good. Therefore your daughters commit whoring, and your brides commit adultery. I would not punish your daughters when they commit whoring, nor your brides when they commit adultery. For the men themselves go aside with whores, and slaughter with cult prostitutes. A people that do not understand are thrust down. Though you are a whore, Israel, let not Yehudah become guilty. Do not come up to Gilgal, nor go up to Beth Awen, nor swear an oath, saying, As Yahuwah lives. For Israel is stubborn, like a stubborn calf. Would Yahuwah now feed them like a lamb in a broad place? Ephraim is joined to idols, let him alone. Their drink is sour. They have whored continually. Her rulers wildly love shame. A wind has bound her up in its wings, and they are ashamed because of their slaughterings. Chapter 5. Hear this, O priests, and listen, O house of Yisrael. Give ear, O house of the sovereign, for the judgment is for you. For you have been a snare to Mitzpah, and a net spread on Tavor. And revolters have gone deep in slaying, and I reprove them all. I have known Ephraim, and Yisrael has not been hidden from me. For now, O Ephraim, you have whored. Yisrael is defiled. Their deeds do not allow them to turn back to their Elohim. For the spirit of whorings is among them, and they do not know Yahuwah, and the excellency of Yisrael shall witness to his face. And Yisrael and Ephraim stumble in their crookedness. Yehudah shall also stumble with them. With their flocks and herds they go to seek Yahuwah, but do not find him. He has withdrawn from them. They have acted treacherously against Yahuwah, for they have brought forth strange children. Now a new moon shall devour them with their portions. Blow a shofar in Geba, the trumpet in Ramah. Shout, O Beth Awan. Behind you, O Benjamin. Ephraim is laid waste in the day of rebuke. Among the tribes of Israel I shall make known what is certain. The chiefs of Yehudah shall be like those who remove a border. On them I pour out my wrath like water. Ephraim is oppressed, crushed in judgment, because he walked after the command when it pleased him. So I am to Ephraim like a moth, and to the house of Yehudah like rottenness. When Ephraim saw his sickness, and Yehudah saw his wound, then Ephraim went to Asher and sent to sovereign Yarev. But he is unable to heal you, or to remove the wound from you. For I am like a lion to Ephraim, and like a young lion to the house of Yehudah. I myself tear them and go. I take them away, and there is no one to deliver. I shall go. I shall return to my place until they confess their guilt and seek my face. In their distress, diligently search for me and say, Chapter 6. Come, and let us turn back to Yahuwah, for he has torn, but he does heal us. He has stricken, but he binds us up. After 2 days he shall revive us. On the 3rd day he shall raise us up so that we live before him. So let us know, let us pursue to know Yahuwah. His going forth is as certain as the morning, and he comes to us like the rain, like the latter rain watering the earth. Ephraim, what would I do with you? Yehudah, what would I do with you? For your loving commitment is like a morning cloud, and like the early dew it goes away. Therefore I have hewn them by the prophets, I have killed them by the words of my mouth. And my right rulings break forth as the light. For I delight in loving commitment and not slaughtering, and in knowledge of Elohim more than ascending offerings. But like Adam, they transgressed the covenant. They acted treacherously against me. Gilead is a city of workers of wickedness, tracked up with blood. And as bands of robbers lie in wait for a man, so the company of priests murder on the way to Shechem, for they have done wickedness. I have seen a horrible matter in the house of Israel. The whoring of Ephraim is there. Israel is defiled. Also a harvest is appointed for you, O Yehudah, when I turn back the captivity of my people. Chapter 7. Whenever I would heal Yisrael, then the crookedness of Ephraim is uncovered, and the evil deeds of Shamaron. For they have wrought falsehood, and a thief comes in. A band of robbers raids outside, and they do not say to their hearts that I remember all their evil. Now their own deeds have surrounded them. They have been before me. With their evil they make a sovereign glad, and rulers with their lies. All of them are adulterers, as an oven heated by a baker, who ceases stirring the fire after kneading the dough, until it is leavened. In the day of our sovereign rulers became sick, inflamed with wine. He extended his hand with scoffers, for they have drawn near. Their heart is like an oven. While they lie in wait all the night, their baker sleeps. In the morning it burns like a flaming fire. All of them are as hot as an oven, and they consumed their rulers. All their sovereigns have fallen. Not one among them calls on me. Ephraim mixes himself among the peoples. Ephraim has become a cake unturned. Strangers have devoured his strength, but he does not know it. Gray hairs are also sprinkled on him, and he does not know it. And the excellency of Yisrael did witness to his face, but they did not return to Yahuwah their Elohim, nor did they seek him for all this. And Ephraim has become a simple dove without heart. They have called on Mitzrayim. They have gone to Asher. When they go, I spread my net over them. I bring them down like the birds of the heavens. I chastise them as their congregation has heard. Woe to them, for they have strayed from me. Destruction to them, because they have transgressed me. And I myself have ransomed them, yet they have spoken falsehoods against me, and did not cry out to me with their heart when they wailed upon their beds. For grain and new wine they assemble themselves. They turn away from me. And I instructed. I strengthened their arms, but they plot evil against me. They return, but not above. They have been like a slack bow. Their rulers fall by the sword for the cursing of their tongue. This is their scorn in the land of Mitzrayim. Chapter 8. Put a shofar to your mouth like an eagle against the house of Yahuwah, because they have transgressed my covenant, and they have rebelled against my Torah. They cry out to me, My Elohim, we Yisrael know you. Yisrael has rejected what is good. An enemy pursues him. They have made sovereigns, but not from me. They have made rulers, but I have not known. From their silver and gold they made idols for themselves, so that they are cut off. O Shamaron, your calf has been cast off. My wrath has burned against them. How long shall they be incapable of innocence? For from Yisrael is even this, a workman made it, and it is not Elohim. For the calf of Shamaron is splinters. For they sow the wind and reap the whirlwind. The stalk has no bud, it yields no grain. If it does yield, strangers swallow it up. Yisrael has been swallowed up. They have now become among the nations as a vessel in which is no pleasure. For they themselves have gone up to Asher. A wild donkey alone by itself is Ephraim. They have hired lovers. Also, although they sold themselves among the nation, this time I shall gather them, when they have suffered for a while from the burden of a sovereign, of rulers. Since Ephraim has made many slaughter places for sin, they have been slaughter places for sinning to him. I have written for him numerous matters of my Torah. They were regarded as strange. As for my slaughterings, they slaughter flesh, and they eat. Yahuwah shall not accept them. Now does he remember their crookedness and punish their sins. Let them return to Mitzrayim. For Yisrael has forgotten his Maker and has built palaces, and Yehudah has increased walled cities. But I shall send fire upon his cities, and it shall devour his strongholds. Chapter 9. O Yisrael, do not rejoice with exultation like the peoples, for you have whored from your Elohim. You have loved a harlot fee at all threshing floors. Threshing floor and winepress shall not feed them, and new wine shall fail in her. They shall not dwell in the land of Yahuwah, but Ephraim shall return to Mitzrayim, and eat unclean food in Asher. They do not pour wine offerings to Yahuwah, nor are they pleasing to him. Their slaughterings are like bread of mourners to them. All who eat it are defiled. For their bread is for their beings. It does not come into the house of Yahuwah. What do you do for the day of appointment, and in the day of the festival of Yahuwah? For look, they shall go because of destruction. Mitzrayim gathers them up. Moph buries them. Nettles possess their valuables of silver. Thorns are in their tents. The days of punishment have come. The days of retribution have come. Yisrael knows. The prophet is a fool. The man of the spirit is mad. Because of the greatness of your crookedness, and great is the enmity. Elohim's watchman over you. Ephraim is the prophet, but a trapper's snare is in all his ways. Enmity is in the house of his Elohim. They have deeply corrupted themselves as in the days of Gibborim. He remembers their crookedness. He punishes their sins. I found Yisrael like grapes in the wilderness. I saw your fathers as the first fruits on the fig tree in its beginning. They themselves have gone to Baal Peor, and separated themselves to shame, and became as abominable as that which they loved. Ephraim is like a bird. Their esteem has flown away. No birth, and none with child, and no conception. Though they bring up their children, I shall make them childless, without man. For it is woe to them when I turn away from them. I have seen Ephraim, like Zor, planted in a pleasant place. But Ephraim shall bring out his children to the killer. Give them, O Yahuwah, give what? Give them a miscarrying womb and dry breasts. All their evil is in Gilgal, for there I have hated them. because of the evil of their deeds. I drive them from my house. No more do I love them. All their rulers are rebels. Ephraim has been stricken. Their root has dried up. They yield no fruit. Even if they bear children, I shall put to death the precious ones of their womb. My Elohim rejects them because they have not obeyed him, so that they become wanderers among the nations. Chapter 10. Yisrael is a degenerate vine. He brings forth fruit for himself. As his fruit increased, he increased the slaughter places. And the better his land, the better they made the pillars. Their heart has been slippery. Now they are guilty. He breaks down their slaughter places. He destroys their pillars. For now they say, we have no sovereign, because we did not fear Yahuwah. What would the sovereign do for us? They have spoken words, swearing falsely and making a covenant. Therefore judgment shall spring up like poisonous weeds in the furrows of the field. The inhabitants of Shamaron fear because of the Kath of Beth Awan, for its people shall mourn for it, as well as its priests who used to rejoice over it because of its esteem that has departed from it. It also brought to Asher as a present for sovereign Yerev. Ephraim does receive shame, and Yisrael is put to shame through his counsel. Shamaron is cut off. Her sovereign is like a twig on the surface of the water. And the high places of Awen, the sin of Yisrael, shall be destroyed. Thorn and thistle come up on their slaughter places, and they shall say to the mountains, cover us, and to the hills, fall on us. O Yisrael, you have sinned from the days of Geba. There they stood. The battle in Geba against the children of perversity did not overtake them. When I desire, then I bind them, and peoples shall be gathered against them when I bind them for their double guilt. And Ephraim is a trained heifer, loving to thresh grain. But I myself shall pass over her comely neck. I put Ephraim to the yoke. Yehudah plows, Jacob harrows for him. Sow for yourselves righteousness. Reap according to loving commitment. Break up your tillable ground. It is time to seek Yahuwah till he comes and rains righteousness on you. You have plowed wrongness. You have reaped unrighteousness. You have eaten the fruit of lying, because you trusted in your own way, in your many mighty men. An uproar shall arise among your people, and all your strongholds shall be ravaged, as Shalman ravaged Beth Arvel in the day of battle. A mother dashed in pieces on her children. Thus it shall be done to you, O Beth-El, because of the evil of your wickedness. At dawn, the sovereign of Yisrael is completely cut off. Chapter 11. When Yisrael was a child, I loved him, and out of Mitzrayim I called my son. They called to them, so they went from their face. They slaughtered to the Baals and burned incense to carved images. And I taught Ephraim to walk, taking them by their arms. But they did not know that I healed them. I drew them with ropes of man, with cords of love, and I was to them as those who take the yoke from their neck. And I bent down, fed them. No, let him return to the land of Mitzrayim, and let Asher be his sovereign, because they refuse to repent. And the sword shall whirl in his cities. It shall demolish his gate bars and consume because of their own counsels. My people are bent towards backsliding from me. Though they call to the one above, none of them exalt him. How could I give you up, Ephraim? How could I hand you over, Yisrael? How could I make you like Admah? How could I set you like Zeboim? My heart turns within me. All my compassion is kindled. I shall not let the heat of my wrath burn. I shall not turn to destroy Ephraim, for I am El and not man, the set-apart one in your midst, and I shall not come in enmity. Let them follow Yahuwah. Like a lion he roars. When he roars, then sun shall tremble from the west. They shall tremble like a bird from Mitzrayim, and like a dove from the land of Asher. And I shall let them dwell in their own houses, declares Yahuwah. Ephraim has surrounded me with lying, and the house of Israel with deceit. But Yehudah is still wandering with El, and is true to the set-apart one. Chapter 12. Ephraim is feeding on wind, and pursuing an east wind. All the day he increases falsehood and ruin. And they make a covenant with Asher, and oil is sent to Mitzrayim. And Yahuwah has a controversy with Yehudah, to punish Jacob according to his ways, to repay him according to his deeds. He took his brother by the heel in the womb, and in his strength he strove with Elohim. He strove with the messenger and overcame. He wept and sought his favor. He found him in Bethel, and there he spoke to us. Even Yahuwah Elohim of hosts, Yahuwah is his remembrance. Therefore return to your Elohim, guard loving commitment and right ruling, and wait on your Elohim continually. A merchant, in his hands are the scales of deceit. He loved to oppress. And Ephraim says, Indeed, I have become rich, and I have found wealth for myself. In all my labors they shall find in me no crookedness that is sin. But I am Yahuwah your Elohim, since the land of Mitzrayim. Again I shall make you dwell in tents, as in the days of the appointed time. And I have spoken to the prophets, and have increased visions. And through the prophets I gave parables. Is Gilead wicked? Certainly. They have been false. In Gilgal they have slaughtered bulls. Also their slaughter places are as heaps on a plowed field. And when Jacob fled to the country of Aram, Yisrael served for a wife, and for a wife he kept watch. And by a prophet Yahuwah brought Yisrael out of Mitzrayim, and by a prophet he was watched over. Ephraim has provoked most bitterly, so his master left his blood guilt on him, and repaid him for his reproach. Chapter 13. When Ephraim spoke there was trembling. He was lifted up in Yisrael. But through Baal he became guilty, and he died. And now they sin more, and make for themselves molded images from their silver, idols according to their skill, all of them the work of craftsmen. They say of them, Let the men who slaughter kiss the calves. Therefore they shall be like a morning cloud, and like dew that goes away early, like chaff blown off from a threshing floor, and like smoke from a window. But I am Yahuwah your Elohim, since the land of Mitzrayim, and an Elohim besides me you shall not know, for there is no Savior besides me. I knew you in the wilderness, in the land of drought. When they were fed, they were satisfied. They were satisfied, and their heart was exalted. Therefore, they forgot me. So I am become like a lion to them, like a leopard I watch by the way. Like a bear robbed of her young, I attack them, and rip open the enclosure of their heart. And there I devour them like a lion. A wild beast tear them apart. You have destroyed yourself, O Yisrael, but your help is in me. Where is your sovereign now to save you in all your cities, and your rulers of whom you said, Give me a sovereign and rulers? I gave you a sovereign in my displeasure, but I took him away in my wrath. The crookedness of Ephraim is bound up, his sin is hidden. Pains of a woman in labor shall come upon him. He is not a wise son, for it is not the time that he should delay at the breaking forth of children. From the power of Sheol I ransom them, from death I redeem them. Where is your plague, O death? Where is your destruction, O Sheol? Repentance is hidden from my eyes. Though he bears fruit among his brothers, an east wind comes, A wind from Yahuwah comes up from the wilderness, and it dries up his fountain, and his spring becomes dry. It plunders a treasure of all desirable objects. Shamaron is held guilty, for she has rebelled against her Elohim. They fall by the sword. Their infants are dashed in pieces, and their pregnant women ripped open. Chapter 14. O Yisrael, return to Yahuwah your Elohim, for you have stumbled by your crookedness. Take words with you, and return to Yahuwah. Say to him, take away all the crookedness, and accept what is good, and we render the bowl of our lips. Asher does not save us. We do not ride on horses, nor ever again do we say to the work of our hands, our mighty ones. For the fatherless finds compassion in you. I shall heal their backsliding. I shall love them spontaneously, for my displeasure has turned away from them. I shall be like the dew to Yisrael. He shall blossom like the lily, and strike out his roots like Lebanon. His branches shall spread, and his splendor shall be like an olive tree, and his fragrance like Lebanon. Those who dwell under his shadow shall return. They shall revive like grain, and blossom like the vine, and become as fragrant as the wine of Lebanon. What more has Ephraim to do with idols? It is I who answer and look after him. I am like a green cypress tree. Your fruit comes from me. Who is wise and understands these words, discerning and knows them? For the ways of Yahuwah are straight, and the righteous walk in them, but the transgressors stumble in them. The Book of Joel, Yoel. Chapter 1. The word of Yahuwah that came to Yoel, son of Pethuel. Hear this, you elders, and give ear, all you inhabitants of the land. Has this ever been in your days, or even in the days of your fathers? Relate it to your children, and your children to their children, and their children to the generation after them. What the gnawing locust left, the swarming locust has eaten. And what the swarming locust left, the crawling locust has eaten. And what the crawling locust left, the consuming locust has eaten. Wake up, you drunkards, and weep, and wail, all you drinkers of wine, on account of the new wine, for it has been cut off from your mouth. For a nation has come up against my land, strong and innumerable. Its teeth are the teeth of a lion, and it has the fangs of a lioness. It has laid waste my vine and splintered my fig tree. It has made it entirely bare and cast it away. Its branches became white. Wail like a maiden girded with sackcloth for the husband of her youth. The grain offering and the drink offering have been cut off from the house of Yahuwah. The priests, servants of Yahuwah, have mourned. The field is ravaged, the ground has mourned, for the grain is ruined. The new wine has dried up, the oil fails. The farmers are ashamed. The vine dressers wail over the wheat and over the barley, for the harvest of the field is destroyed. The vine has dried up, and the fig tree droops. Pomegranate, also palm and apple tree, all the trees of the field are dried up, because joy has dried up among the sons of men. Gird yourselves and lament, you priests. Wail, you attendants of the slaughter place. Come, lie all night in sackcloth, you attendants of my Elohim. For the grain offering and the drink offering are withheld from the house of your Elohim. Set apart a fast, call an assembly, gather the elders, all the inhabitants of the land, into the house of Yahuwah your Elohim, and cry out to Yahuwah. Alas for the day of Yahuwah is near, and it comes as destruction from the Almighty. Is not the food cut off before our eyes? Joy and gladness from the house of our Elohim? The seed has rotted under their clods. Storehouses are laid waste. Granaries are broken down, for the grain has withered. How the beasts moan. The herds of cattle are restless, because they have no pasture. The flocks of sheep also perish. I cry to you, Yahuwah, for fire has consumed the pastures of the wilderness, and a flame has set on fire all the trees of the field. Even the beasts of the field cry out to you, for the water streams are dried up, and the fire has consumed the pastures of the wilderness. Chapter 2. Blow a shofar in Zion, and sound an alarm in my set-apart mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the earth tremble, for the day of Yahuwah is coming, for it is near. A day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and thick darkness. Like the morning clouds spread over the mountains, a people many and strong, the like of whom has never been, nor shall there ever be again after them. To the years of many generations. Ahead of them a fire has consumed, and behind them a flame burns. Before them the land is like the Garden of Eden, and behind them like a desert waste, and from them there is no escape. Their appearance is like the appearance of horses, and they run like steeds. As the noise of chariots they leap over mountaintops, as the noise of a flaming fire consuming stubble, as a mighty people set in battle array. Before them people are in anguish, all faces become flushed. They run like mighty men, they climb the wall like men of battle. Everyone goes on his way, and they do not break ranks, and they do not press one another. Everyone goes in his path. They fall among the weapons, but they do not stop. They rush on the city, they run on the wall, they climb into the houses, they enter at the windows like a thief. The earth shall tremble before them, the heavens shall shake. Sun and moon shall be darkened, and the stars withdraw their brightness. And Yahuwah shall give forth his voice before his army, for his camp is very great. For mighty is the doer of his word. For the day of Yahuwah is great and very awesome. And who does bear it? Yet even now declares Yahuwah, turn to me with all your heart, and with fasting, and with weeping, and with mourning. And tear your heart and not your garments, and turn back to Yahuwah your Elohim. For he shows favor, and is compassionate, patient, and of great loving commitment, and he shall relent concerning the evil. Who knows? He might turn and relent, and leave a blessing behind him, a grain offering and a drink offering for Yahuwah your Elohim. Blow a shofar in Zion. Set apart a fast. Call an assembly. Gather the people. Set the assembly apart. Assemble the elders. Gather the children and nursing babes. Let a bridegroom come out from his room, and a bride from her dressing room. Let the priests, servants of Yahuwah, weep between the porch and the slaughter place, and let them say, spare your people, O Yahuwah, and do not give your inheritance to reproach, for the nations to rule over them. Why should they say among the peoples, where is their Elohim? And let Yahuwah be jealous for his land and spare his people. And let Yahuwah answer and say to his people, see, I am sending you the grain and the new wine and the oil, and you shall be satisfied by them. No longer do I make you a reproach among the nations. And the northerner I shall remove far from you, and drive him away into a dry and deserted land, with his face toward the eastern sea, and his rear toward the western sea. And his stench shall come up, and his smell rise, for he has done greatly. Do not fear, O soil. Be glad and rejoice, for Yahuwah has done greatly. Do not fear, you beasts of the field, for the pastures of the wilderness shall spring forth, and the tree shall bear its fruit. The fig tree and the vine shall yield their strength. And you, children of Zion,
Be glad and rejoice in Yahweh your Elohim, for he shall give you the teacher of righteousness, and cause the rain to come down for you, the former rain, and the latter rain as before. And the threshing floor shall be filled with grain, and the vats shall overflow with new wine and oil. Then I shall repay you the years that the swarming locust has eaten, the crawling locust, and the consuming locust, and the gnawing locust, my great army which I sent among you. Then you shall eat and be satisfied, and shall praise the name of Yahweh your Elohim, who has done with you so wondrously. And my people shall never be put to shame. And you shall know that I am in the midst of Yisrael, and that I am Yahweh your Elohim, and there is no one else, and my people shall never be put to shame. And after this it shall be that I pour out my spirit on all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, your old men dream dreams, your young men see visions. And also on the male servants and on the female servants I shall pour out my spirit in those days. And I shall give signs in the heavens and upon the earth, blood and fire and columns of smoke. The sun is turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the coming of the great and awesome day of Yahuwah. And it shall be that everyone who calls on the name of Yahuwah shall be delivered. For on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem there shall be an escape, as Yahuwah has said, and among the survivors whom Yahuwah calls. Chapter 3. For look, in those days and at that time, when I turn back the captivity of Yehudah and Jerusalem, then I shall gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I shall enter into judgment with them there for my people, my inheritance Yisrael, whom they have scattered among the nations, and they have divided up my land. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a young man for a whore, and sold a girl for wine, and drank it. And also, what are you to me, O Zor, and Zidon, and all the coasts of Philistia? Are you repaying me? And if you are repaying me, I would swiftly and speedily return your reward on your own head. For you have taken my silver and my gold, and brought my treasures into your temples. And the people of Yehudah and the people of Jerusalem you have sold to the sons of Yawan, to remove them far from their borders. See, I am stirring them up out of the place to which you have sold them, and I shall return on your own head what you have done, and shall sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the people of Yehudah, and they shall sell them to the Shebaites, to a nation far off, for Yahuwah has spoken. Proclaim this among the nations: prepare for battle. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of battle draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Hasten and come, all you nations, and gather together all around, O Yahuwah. Let your mighty men come down here. Let the nations be aroused, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there I shall sit to judge all the nations on every side. Put in the sickle, for the harvest has grown ripe. Come, go down, for the winepress is filled. The vats overflow, for their evil is great. Crowds in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahuwah is near in the valley of decision. Sun and moon shall become dark, and stars shall withdraw their brightness. And Yahuwah shall roar from Zion, and give forth his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But Yahuwah shall be a refuge for his people, and a stronghold for the children of Israel. Then you shall know that I am Yahuwah your Elohim, dwelling in Zion, my set-apart mountain. And Jerusalem shall be set apart, and strangers shall not pass through her again. And it shall be in that day that the mountains drip with new wine, and the hills flow with milk, and all the streams of Yehudah shall be flooded with water, and a fountain flow from the house of Yahuwah, and water, the Wadi Shittim. Mitzrayim shall become a ruin, and Edom a ruin, a wilderness, because of violence done to the people of Yehudah, whose innocent blood they shed in their land. But Yehudah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem to all generations. And I shall avenge their blood, which I have not avenged, and Yahuwah shall be dwelling in Zion.
The Book of Amos. Chapter 1. The words of Amos, who was among the herdsmen of Tekoa, which he saw concerning Israel in the days of Uzziah, sovereign of Yehudah, and in the days of Jeroboam, son of Joash, sovereign of Israel, 2 years before the earthquake. And he said, Yahuwah roars from Zion, and gives forth his voice from Jerusalem. And the pastures of the shepherds shall mourn, and the top of Carmel shall wither. Thus said Yahuwah, for 3 transgressions of Damascus, and for 4 I do not turn back, because they thresh Gilead with threshing implements of iron. But I shall send fire upon the house of Hazael, and it shall consume the palaces of Ben-Hadad. And I shall break the bar of Damasek, and cut off the inhabitant from the valley of Awan, and the one who holds the scepter of Beth-Eden. And the people of Aram shall go exiled to Kir, said Yahuwah. Thus said Yahuwah, for 3 transgressions of Azah, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because they took into exile, an entire exile, to surrender it to Edom. But I shall send fire upon the wall of Azah, and it shall consume its palaces. And I shall cut off the inhabitants from Ashdod, and the one who holds the scepter from Ashkelon. And I shall turn my hand against Ekron, and the remnant of the Philistines shall perish, says the Master Yahuwah. Thus said Yahuwah, for 3 transgressions of Zor, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because they surrendered an entire exile to Edom, and did not remember the brotherly covenant. But I shall send fire upon the wall of Zor, and it shall consume its palaces. Thus said Yahuwah, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because he pursued his brother with the sword, and cast off all compassion. And his displeasure tore incessantly, and he kept his wrath forever. But I shall send fire upon Timan, and it shall consume the palaces of Batzorah. Thus said Yahuwah, for 3 transgressions of the children of Ammon, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because they ripped open the pregnant women in Gilead to enlarge their border. So I shall kindle a fire upon the wall of Rabbah, and it shall consume its palaces with a shout in the day of battle, with a storm in the day of the whirlwind. And their sovereign shall go into exile, he and his heads together, said Yahuwah. Thus said Yahuwah, for 3 transgressions of Moab, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because he burned the bones of the sovereign of Edom to lime. But I shall send fire upon Moab, and it shall consume the palaces of Kerioth. And Moab shall die amid uproar, with a cry and with the voice of a shofar. And I shall cut off the judge from its midst, and kill all its heads with him, said Yahuwah. Thus said Yahuwah, for 3 transgressions of Yehudah, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because they have rejected the Torah of Yahuwah, and do not guard his laws. And their lies after them which their fathers walked led them astray. But I shall send fire upon Yehudah, and it shall consume the palaces of Jerusalem. Thus said Yahuwah, for 3 transgressions of Israel, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because they sell the righteous for silver, and the poor for a pair of sandals. who crush the head of the poor ones in the dust of the earth, and turn aside the way of the meek. And a man and his father go into the same girl to defile my set-apart name. And they lie down by every slaughter place on garments taken in pledge, and in the house of their mighty one they drink the wine of those who have been fined. Yet I destroyed the Amorite before them, whose height was like the height of the cedars, and he was as strong as the oaks. Yet I destroyed his fruit from above, and his roots from beneath. And I brought you up from the land of Mitzrayim, and led you 40 years through the wilderness, to possess the land of the Amorite. And I raised up some of your sons as prophets, and some of your young men as Nazirites. Not so, O you children of Israel, declares Yahuwah, but you made the Nazirites drink wine, and commanded the prophets, saying, Do not prophesy. See, I am weighed down by you, as a wagon is weighed down when filled with sheaves. And a place to flee shall perish from the swift, and the strong not fortify his power, and the mighty not save his life, and he who handles the bow not stand, and the swift of foot not save. Nor he who rides a horse save his life, and the potent one of his heart among the mighty flee naked in that day, declares Yahuwah. Chapter 3. Hear this, the word that Yahuwah has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the entire clan which I brought up from the land of Mitzrayim, saying, You alone have I known of all the clans of the earth, therefore I punish you for all your crookednesses. Would two walk together without having met? Does a lion roar in the forest when he has no prey? Does a young lion give forth his voice out of his den unless he has caught? Does a bird fall into a snare on the earth where there is no trap for it? Does a snare spring up from the earth if it has not captured prey? If a shofar is blown in a city, do the people not tremble? If there is calamity in a city, shall not Yahuwah have done it? For the Master Yahuwah does no matter unless he reveals his secret to his servants, the prophets. A lion has roared. Who is not afraid? The Master Yahuwah has spoken. Who would not prophesy? Cry out at the palaces in Ashdod, and at the palaces in the land of Mitzrayim, and say, Gather on the mountains of Shamaron, and see the many unrests in her midst, and the oppressed ones within her. But they do not know to do what is right, declares Yahuwah, these who store up plunder and loot in their palaces. Therefore thus said the Master Yahuwah, an enemy even all around the land, and he shall bring down your strength from you, and your palaces shall be plundered. Thus said Yahuwah, as a shepherd rescues from the mouth of a lion 2 legs or a piece of an ear, so are the children of Israel who dwell in Shamaron to be rescued, in the corner of a bed and on the edge of a couch. Hear and witness against the house of Jacob, declares the Master Yahuwah, the Elohim of hosts. For in the day I visit Yisrael for their transgression, I shall also punish concerning the slaughter places of Bethel, and the horns of the slaughter places shall be broken, and they shall fall to the ground. And I shall strike the winter house along with the summer house, and the houses of ivory shall perish, and the great houses shall be swept away, declares Yahuwah. Chapter 4. Hear this, you cows of Bashan, who are on the mountains of Shamaron, who are pressing the poor, who are crushing the needy, who are saying to their masters, Bring wine and let us drink. The Master Yahuwah has sworn by his set-apartness. See, days are coming upon you when he shall take you away with hooks, and your descendants with fish hooks, and let you go out at the breaches, each woman before her, and you shall be cast out toward Harmon, declares Yahuwah. Come to Bethel and transgress, to Gilgal, increase transgression, and bring your slaughterings every morning, your tithes every 3 days, and burn an offering of thanksgiving with leaven. Proclaim voluntary offerings loudly, for you have loved this.
you children of Israel, declares the Master Yahuwah. And I also gave you cleanness of teeth in all your cities, and lack of bread in all your places. But you did not turn back to me, declares Yahuwah. And I also withheld rain from you 3 new moons before the harvest. Then I would send rain on one city, and on another city I would not send rain. One part was rained upon, and where it did not rain, the part would dry up. Then 2 or 3 cities would wander to another city to drink water, but they were not satisfied. But you did not turn back to me, declares Yahuwah. I have stricken you with blight and with mildew. The creeping locust devoured your many gardens, and your vineyards, and your fig trees, and your olive trees. But you did not turn back to me, declares Yahuwah. I have sent among you a plague in the way of Mitzrayim. I have killed your young men with a sword, along with your captured horses. And I made the stench of your camps come up into your nostrils. But you did not turn back to me, declares Yahuwah. I have overthrown some of you as Elohim overthrew Sodom and Amorah, and you were like a burning stick plucked from the burning. But you did not turn back to me, declares Yahuwah. Therefore I am doing this to you, O Yisrael, and because I do this to you, prepare to meet your Elohim, O Yisrael. For look, he who forms mountains and creates the wind, and who declares to man what his thought is, and makes the morning darkness, and who treads the high places of the earth, Yahuwah Elohim of hosts is his name. Chapter 5. Hear this word which I take up against you, this lamentation, O house of Yisrael. The maiden of Yisrael has fallen, not to rise again. She lies forsaken on her land with no one to lift her up. For thus said the Master Yahuwah, the city that goes out by 1,000 has 100 left, and that which goes out by 100 has 10 left to the house of Yisrael. For thus said Yahuwah to the house of Yisrael, seek me and live. But do not seek Bethel, nor enter Gilgal, nor pass over to Beersheba, for Gilgal shall certainly go into exile, and Bethel become a non-entity. Seek Yahuwah and live, lest he break out like fire upon the house of Joseph, and shall consume it, with no one to quench it in Bethel. O you who are turning right ruling to wormwood, and have cast down righteousness to the earth, he who made Kima and Kesel, and who turns the shadow of death into morning, and darkened day into night, who is calling for the waters of the sea, and pours them out on the face of the earth, Yahuwah is his name, who is flashing forth destruction upon the strong, so that the destruction comes upon the stronghold. They hated the one who reproves in the gate, and they despised the one who speaks the truth. Therefore, because you trample on the poor, and take grain taxes from him, you have built houses of hewn stone, but you are not going to dwell in them. You have planted pleasant vineyards, but not drink wine from them. For I know your transgressions are many, and your sins are great, afflicting the righteous, and accepting bribes, and turning aside the poor at the gate. Therefore the wise keep silent at that time, for it is an evil time. Seek good, and not evil, so that you live. And let Yahuwah Elohim of hosts be with you, as you have spoken. Hate evil and love good, and set up right ruling in the gate. It might be that Yahuwah Elohim of hosts shows favor to the remnant of Joseph. Therefore Yahuwah Elohim of hosts, Yahuwah said this, there is wailing in all open squares, and in all the streets they say, alas, alas, and shall call the farmer to mourning, and skilled lamenters to wailing. And in all vineyards there is wailing, for I pass through your midst, said Yahuwah. Woe to you who are longing for the day of Yahuwah. What does the day of Yahuwah mean to you? It is darkness and not light, as when a man flees from a lion, and a bear shall meet him,
or entered his house, rested his hand on the wall, and a serpent shall bite him. Is not the day of Yahuwah darkness, and not light? Is it not very dark with no brightness in it? I have hated, I have despised your festivals, and am not pleased with your assemblies. Though you offer me ascending offerings and your grain offerings, I do not accept them, nor do I look on your fat and peace offerings. Take away from me the noise of your songs, for I do not hear the sound of your stringed instruments. And let right ruling roll on like water, and righteousness like a mighty stream. You brought me slaughterings and meal offerings in the wilderness for 40 years, O house of Israel. But you took up Sikoth your sovereign, and Kayun your idols, and your astral mighty ones, which you made for yourselves. Therefore I shall send you into exile beyond Damasek, said Yahuwah, Elohim of hosts, his name. Chapter 6. Woe to those at ease in Zion, and those trusting in Mount Shamaron, the distinguished ones among the chief of the nations to whom the house of Israel comes. Pass over to Calneh and see, and from there go to Hamath the Great. Then go down to Gath of the Philistines. Are you better than these reigns, or is their border greater than your border? You who are putting off the day of evil, yet bring near the seat of violence, who are lying on beds of ivory, and are stretched out on your couches, and are eating lambs from the flock, and calves from the midst of the stall, who are singing to the sound of the harp, having composed songs for themselves like David, who are drinking wine from bowls, and anoint with the finest ointments. Yet they have not been pained over the breach of Yosef. Therefore they shall now go into exile with the first of the exiles, and the feasting of the stretched out ones shall cease. The Master Yahuwah has sworn by himself. Yahuwah Elohim of hosts declares, I am loathing the pride of Jacob, and I have hated his palaces. Therefore I shall deliver up the city and all that is in it. And it shall be that if 10 men remain in one house, they shall die. And if an uncle or his undertaker brings the remains out of the house, he shall say to one inside the house, Is anyone with you? And he says, No. Then he shall say, Hush, for we have not remembered the name of Yahuwah. For look, Yahuwah is commanding, and he shall strike the great house with breaches, and the little house with clefts. Do horses run on a rock? Does one plow it with oxen? For you have turned right ruling into poison, and the fruit of righteousness into wormwood. You who are rejoicing over a matter of naught, who say, Have we not taken horns for ourselves by our own strength? For look, I am raising up a nation against you, O house of Israel, declares Yahuwah Elohim of hosts, and they shall oppress you from the entrance of Hamath to the Wadi Arabah. Chapter 7. This is what the Master Yahuwah showed me. And see, he was forming locust swarms at the beginning of the late crop. And see, it was the late crop after the mowings of the sovereign. And it came to be when they had finished eating the grass of the land that I said, O Master Yahuwah, forgive, I pray. How does Yaakov survive, for he is small? Yahuwah relented concerning this. It shall not be, said Yahuwah. This is what the Master Yahuwah showed me, and see, the Master Yahuwah was calling to contend by fire, and it consumed the great deep, and it did consume the portion. And I said, Oh, Master Yahuwah, please stop. How does Jacob survive, for he is small? Yahuwah relented concerning this. This shall not be either, said the Master Yahuwah. This is what he showed me. And see, Yahuwah stood on a wall made with a plumb line in his hand. And Yahuwah said to me, Amos, what do you see? And I said, A plumb line. And Yahuwah said, See, I am setting a plumb line in the midst of my people Yisrael. No longer do I pardon them. And the high places of Yitzhak shall be laid waste, and the set-apart places of Israel shall be destroyed, and I shall rise with the sword against the house of Jeroboam. Then Amaziah, the priest of Bethel, sent to Jeroboam, sovereign of Israel, saying, Amos has conspired against you in the midst of the house of Israel. The land is not able to endure all his words. For this is what Amos said, Jeroboam shall die by the sword, and Israel shall certainly be exiled from their own land. And Amaziah said to Amos, Go, you seer, flee to the land of Yehudah, and eat bread, and prophesy there. But do not prophesy any more at Bethel, for it is the sovereign set-apart place, and it is the house of the rain. And Amos answered and said to Amaziah, I am not a prophet, nor am I a son of a prophet, for I am a herdsman and a grower of sycamore figs. But Yahuwah took me from behind the flock, and Yahuwah said to me, Go, prophesy to my people Yisrael. And now, hear the word of Yahuwah. You are saying, Do not prophesy against Yisrael, and do not drop words against the house of Yitzhak. Therefore thus said Yahuwah, Your wife shall become a whore in the city, and your sons and daughters fall by the sword, and your land be divided by a measuring line. And you die in a defiled land, and Yisrael shall certainly be exiled from its land. Chapter 8. This is what the Master Yahuwah showed me, and see a basket of summer fruit. And he said, Amos, what do you see? And I said, A basket of summer fruit. And Yahuwah said to me, The end has come upon my people Yisrael. No longer do I pardon them. And the songs of the Hekal shall be wailing in that day, declares the Master Yahuwah. Many dead bodies everywhere thrown into any place. Hush! Hear this, you who are swallowing up the needy, to do away with the poor of the land, saying, When does the new moon pass, so that we sell grain, and the Sabbath so that we trade our wheat, to make the ephah small and the shekel large, and to falsify the scales by deceit, to buy the poor for silver, and the needy for a pair of sandals, and sell the chaff of the wheat? Yahuwah has sworn by the excellency of Jacob, I shall never forget any of their works. Shall the land not tremble for this, and everyone mourn who dwells in it? And all of it shall swell like the river, heave and subside like the river Mitzrayim. And it shall be in that day, declares the Master Yahuwah, that I shall cause the sun to go down at noon, and shall darken the earth on a day of brightness, and shall turn your festivals into mourning, and all your songs into lamentation. Bring sackcloth on all loins, and baldness on every head, and shall make it like mourning for an only son, and its end like a day of bitterness. See, days are coming, declares the Master Yahuwah, that I shall send a hunger in the land. Not a hunger for bread, nor a thirst for water, but for hearing the words of Yahuwah. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from north to east they shall diligently search, seeking the word of Yahuwah. But they shall not find it. In that day the beautiful maidens and strong young men shall faint from thirst. Those swearing by the guilt of Shamaron, who say, As your mighty one lives, O Dan, and as the way of Beersheba lives, and they shall fall and never rise again. Chapter 9. And I saw Yahuwah standing by the slaughter place, and he said, Strike the column head so that the thresholds shake, and break them off by the head, all of them. And the last of them I kill with the sword. Not one of them fleeing gets away, and not one fugitive of them escapes. If they dig into Sheol, from there my hand does take them. And if they climb up to the heavens, from there I bring them down. And if they hide themselves on top of Carmel, from there I shall search and take them. And if they hide from before my eyes at the bottom of the sea, from there I shall command the serpent, and it shall bite them. And if they go into captivity before their enemies, From there I shall command the sword, and it shall kill them. And I shall set my eyes on them for evil and not for good. And the Master Yahweh of hosts is he who touches the earth so that it melts, and all who dwell in it mourn. And all of it come up like the river, and subside like the river of Mitzrayim. Who is building his upper room in the heavens, and has founded his firmaments on the earth? Who is calling for the waters of the sea, and pours them out on the face of the earth? Yahuwah is his name. Are you not like the people of Cush to me, O children of Israel? Declares Yahuwah. Did I not bring up Israel from the land of Mitzrayim, and the Philistines from Caphtor, and Aram from Kir? Look, the eyes of the Master Yahuwah are on the sinful reign, and I shall destroy it from the face of the earth, except that I do not completely destroy the house of Yaakov, declares Yahuwah. For look, I am commanding, and I shall sift the house of Israel among all the nation, as one sifts with a sieve, yet not a grain falls to the ground. All the sinners of my people are going to die by the sword, those who are saying, evil does not overtake us, nor meet us. In that day I shall raise up the booth of David, which has fallen down, and I shall repair its breaches, and raise up its ruins, and I shall build it as in the days of old, so that they possess the remnant of Edom, and all the nations on whom my name is called, declares Yahuwah, who does this. Look, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes him who sows seeds. And the mountains shall drip new wine, and all the hills melt. And I shall turn back the captivity of my people Yisrael, and they shall build the waste cities and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and drink wine from them, and shall make gardens and eat their fruit. And I shall plant them on their own soil, and not uproot them any more from their own soil I have given them, said Yahuwah your Elohim. The Book of Obadiah, Chapter 1. The Vision of Obadiah. This is what the Master Yahuwah said concerning Edom. We have heard a report from Yahuwah, and a messenger has been sent among the nations, saying, Arise, and let us rise up against her for battle. See, I have made you small among the nations. You are greatly despised. The pride of your heart has deceived you, you who dwell in the clefts of the rock, whose dwelling is on high, who say in your heart, Who shall bring me down to the ground? Though you rise high as the eagle, and though you set your nest among the stars, from there I shall bring you down, declares Yahuwah. If thieves came to you, if robbers by night, how ruined you would have been. Would they not steal till they had enough? If grape gatherers had come to you, would they not leave gleanings? How Esau shall be searched out, his hidden treasures shall be sought out. All your allies shall send you forth to the border. Your friends shall deceive you and overpower you. They make your bread a snare under you without you discerning it. In that day, declares Yahuwah, I shall destroy the wise men from Edom, and discernment from the mountains of Esau. And your mighty men shall be discouraged, O Timam, so that everyone from the mountains of Esau is cut off by killing. Because of your violence against your brother Jacob, let shame cover you, and you shall be cut off forever. In the day that you stood on the other side, in the day that strangers took captive his wealth, when foreigners entered his gates and cast lots for Jerusalem, you were also like one of them. And you should not have looked on your brother's day in the day of his estrangement, nor rejoiced over the children of Yehudah in the day of their destruction, nor made your mouth great in the day of distress, nor have entered the gate of my people in the day of their calamity, nor looked down on their evil in the day of their calamity, nor have seized their wealth in the day of their calamity, nor have stood at the parting of the way to cut off his fugitives, nor handed over his survivors in the day of distress. For the day of Yahuwah is near upon all the nations. As you have done, it shall be done to you. Your reward shall come back on your own head. For as you have drunk on my set-apart mountain, so do all the nations drink continually, and they shall drink and shall swallow, and they shall be as though they had never been. But on Mount Zion there shall be an escape, and they shall be set apart. And the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, but the house of Esau for stubble. And they shall burn among them, and they shall consume them, so that no survivor is left of the house of Esau. For Yahuwah has spoken. And they shall possess the south with the mountains of Esau, and low country with the Philistines. And they shall possess the fields of Ephraim, and the fields of Shamaron, and Benjamin with Gilad. And the exiles of this host of the children of Israel possess that of the Canaanites, as far as Saraphath. And the exiles of Jerusalem, who are in the Sepharad, possess the cities of the south. And saviors shall come to Mount Zion, to judge the mountains of Esau, and the reign shall belong to Yahuwah. The Book of Jonah, Chapter 1. And the word of Yahuwah came to Jonah, son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, the great city, and cry out against it, for the evils have come up before me. But Jonah rose up to flee to Tarshish from the presence of Yahuwah, and went down to Yaffo, and found a ship going to Tarshish. And he paid the fare, and went down into it to go with them to Tarshish from the presence of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah sent out a great wind on the sea, and there was a great storm on the sea, so that the ship was thought to be broken up. And the seamen were very afraid, and each one cried out to his mighty one, and threw the cargo, which was in the ship, into the sea to lighten the load. But Jonah had gone down into the lowest parts of the ship, and he lay down, and was fast asleep. And the captain came down to him and said to him, What do you mean, sleeper? Arise, cry out to your Elohim, if so be that Elohim should think about us, so that we do not perish. And they said to each other, Come, let us cast lots, so that we know for whose sake this evil has come upon us. So they cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. So they said to him, Please explain to us, for whose sake is this evil upon us? What is your occupation? Where do you come from? What is your country? From what people are you? And he said to them, I am a Hebrew, and I am fearing Yahuwah, the Elohim of the heavens, who made the sea and the dry land. And the men were exceedingly afraid, and said to him, Why have you done this? For the men knew that he had fled from the presence of Yahuwah, for he had informed them. And they said to him, What are we to do to you to make the sea calm for us? For the sea was growing more stormy. And he said to them, Take me and throw me into the sea, so that the sea becomes calm for you. For I know that this great storm is because of me. However, the men rowed hard to bring the ship to land, but were unable, for the sea continued to grow more stormy against them. And they cried out to Yahuwah and said, We pray, O Yahuwah, please, let us not perish for this man's life, and do not lay on us innocent blood, for you, O Yahuwah, have done as it pleased you. Then they took Jonah and threw him into the sea, and the sea stopped raging. And the men feared Yahuwah exceedingly, and slaughtered a slaughtering to Yahuwah, and made vows. But Yahuwah appointed a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the stomach of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. Chapter 2. And Jonah prayed to Yahuwah his Elohim from the stomach of the fish. And he said, I called to Yahuwah because of my distress, and he answered me. From the stomach of Sheol I cried, and you heard my voice.
For you threw me into the deep, into the heart of the seas, and the floods surrounded me. All your breakers and your waves passed over me. So I said, I have been driven away from your eyes. Would I ever look again towards your set-apart Hekal? Waters encompassed me unto life. The deep closed around me. Weeds were wrapped around my head. I went down to the base of the mountains. The earth with its bars were behind me forever. But you brought up my life from the pit, O Yahuwah, my Elohim. When my life fainted within me, I remembered Yahuwah, and my prayer went up to you into your set-apart Hekal. Those observing false worthlessnesses forsake their own loving commitment. But I slaughter to you with the voice of thanksgiving. I pay what I have vowed. Deliverance is of Yahuwah. Then Yahuwah spoke to the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto the dry land.